Welcome back to another video. In this lesson I'm going to teach you 3 tips that will help you to play inversions without thinking much, okay? That is to memorize your inversions faster, okay? So without wasting a second, let's get straight to it. So the first tip I have for you here is to stop thinking in terms of notes, okay? Stop thinking in terms of notes. So what did I mean by not thinking in terms of notes? For instance, maybe you want to play, let's say, C major chord first inversion. Knowing that the C major chord first inversion contain E, G, and C, don't start looking for the notes, something like this. Maybe you have to start finding for your E, your G, and your C before playing it. Or maybe you want to play, let's say, F major chord second inversion. Don't start looking for the notes, maybe C, F, and A before playing it. So in this case, you are thinking of it in terms of their notes. So this is the first rule. Don't think of inversions in terms of their notes. And the reason why I'm telling you not to think in terms of their notes is kind of that it's kind of a very slow way of learning. It's going to slow you down because we have over 20 plus chords and their inversions on the piano. We have over 20 chords. So if you want to start thinking of them in terms of their notes, you have to start cramming the notes that make up about 20 chords and their respective inversions. So if you are learning it that way, it's going to slow you down. So my first tip is don't think in terms of notes, okay? And now the second tip and the third tip kind of provide solution to this first tip that I just gave you now, okay? All right, so the second tip I have for you, instead of thinking of it in terms of their notes, what I suggest you should do is you should master the finger shape, or you can say spacing, or you can say framework that your hand tends to take when it's first inversion and second inversion, okay? So let's start out with the first inversion shape. All right, so for the first inversion, this is the finger shape, your hands, that I personally like using when I want to play my first inversion for any key. So you can see this finger shape. This is the finger shape I like using. So this shape is roughly true for all first inversion of any key on the piano. So for instance, look at this shape. I can use this shape to play C major first inversion. So in this case, the only thing you really need to focus on is your pinky, okay? That is, this your last finger, because this is the finger that actually strikes the root note of each of your target chord, okay? So this is my C major chord first inversion. So the idea is that this shape that my hands tend to take is roughly true for all first inversion of any key. So just focus on your pinky and the remaining fingers will actually fall in the right note. So I can just freeze my hands, go to, look at this, you can see, go to F. You can see the remaining finger just fall in the right place. This is my F major chord first inversion, okay? The same thing too with G. You can see just freezing my hands. You can see this is G first inversion. The same thing to apply. I can just go to F sharp. You see this? This is my first inversion using this shape. It's also true for all other first inversion. You can see this. This is for G sharp. You can see this. This is for E flat. So you can see this. This is for B flats. You can see this shape is roughly true for all other first inversion of any key on the piano, okay? All right, so now if you use this trick to get your major chord that's using this inversion, let's say maybe your C major chord first inversion. So to turn it to a minor, I would like to number my fingers. Let's say this is the 1, this is the 2, and this is the 3. So to turn it to a minor, just flat the first finger, okay? And this is C minor chord. I think it's better than thinking of the notes. So just use the idea of this shape to get the major. Then if you want to turn it to a minor, it's very easy. Just this. You see, you flat this. You understand? The same thing also applies to diminished. For instance, for diminished, if this is, let's say, C major first inversion, to turn it to diminished chord, just flat the first and the second finger, and that's a diminished. The same thing applies to any key also, okay? Right now, so let's move to the second inversion. The shape, the finger shape, or let's say spacing or framework for the second inversion is simply this. This is the finger shape I like to use. You see this? In this case, the only finger you need to focus on is your index finger, okay? Because this is the notes. This is the finger that strikes the root note of your target chord, okay? So you just focus on your index finger for this second inversion case. Remember, the first inversion we focused on our pinky, something like this. Okay, but in this second inversion case, we are focusing on this because this is what strikes the root note of your target chord. So I can just use this shape, freeze it, go to any other key. Let's see F. You see? So I'm just focused on this index finger. It strikes F, and the remaining fingers fall in the right place. So I can still freeze my hands like this. Go to G sharp. Go to G. Sorry. You see, the remaining all these fingers fall in the right place. I'm just focused on this. Freeze my hands. I can go to G sharp too. You see this? You see this? Very easy. just using this shape and playing all the major chords. Second inversion. So just like the first inversion case, this second inversion case also have its rule when you want to convert it to a minor chord. So if this, let's say my C second inversion, to turn it to a minor chord, just flat the third finger, okay, and this becomes your C minor. Very simple. And also to turn it to a diminished chord is also this. Very easy. Just flat the first and the third, okay, these two terminal fingers, just flat them, and that becomes your diminished chord of that particular key. So the last tip I have for you today is actually learning chords in groups. It's actually called the similar chord trick, okay? So when I say similar chord, what am I talking about? Similar chord are simply chords that share the same physical geometry or layout on the piano. That is, they look alike the way they appear physically, okay? So the idea here is that we're kind of grouping all the 12 major chords on the piano into 4 groups based on how they physically appear. So each members of a group have they look alike, okay? You might not even be able to distinguish one from the other. They look exactly the same. So I think this is the best way to learn them. So instead of learning all the first and second inversion of all the 12 keys individually, just learn the first and second inversion of 4 groups and we are good to go, okay? So the first group, we have the keys under is C, F, and G, okay? So these 3 keys, they share the same physical geometry. Look at the first inversion of C. You can see this. So you can see the keys. The first and second key in this chord is kind of closer together than the second and the third key. You see this? So the spacing between these last two this is bigger and this is smaller. So this is the first inversion for the key of C. And this inversion is also true for all other members of the group. So look at F. Look at the first inversion of F. You can see this, the same thing, small and big. It's the same thing with C. You can see even G also. The same thing applies to the second inversion, which is this. Look at the second inversion for key C. You can see the keys, they look alike. Look at it with F. You can see, look at it with G. They are the same thing, okay? So now this brings me to the second group, which are the keys under this group are C sharp, E flat, and G sharp, okay? So these 3 keys to share the same physical geometry. So if you are learning anything about the inversions or anything, just pick one of these keys and automatically you've learned the rest, okay? So this is what I mean. Look at C sharp. This is the first inversion for C sharp. You can see the way it appears. Look at white, black, and black, okay? Now, and you can see the black keys are kind of relatively higher than the white. So the same thing applies to G sharp. You can see this black, black, okay? White, black, black. Also for the second inversion for this group, you can see this. Look at C. Look at C sharp. Look at the second inversion. You can see the way it appears physically. That is black, black, and white. Look at G sharp, black, black, and white. Look at E flat, black, black, and white. You can see they are relatively the same, both for their first and second inversion. Now the third group is actually, the keys that fall under this are D, A, and E, okay? D, E, A, okay? These 3 keys share the same physical geometry. Now look at their first inversion. Look at A, first inversion. You can see the way it appears. Look at white, white, and look at black. You can see this. If I freeze my hands and go to D, you can see the same thing. White, white, black. You can see just the same way. This black is kind of higher than these 2 whites. The same thing applies to E also. Look at E. You can see this and A. So they're the same thing for the first inversion. Also for the second inversion, look how they appear. This is the first inversion for key A. You can see black, white, white. So if I freeze these hands, go to E. Look at E also. You can see black, white, white. The same thing also for D. Black, white, white. You can see all of them share the same shape. So instead of learning them individually, just pick one key and you've automatically learned about the rest. So the last group is actually called what I call the unique shape group. So the keys under this group don't share their shape with any other key, okay? It's only them that have that special shape, okay? So the keys under this group are B. So look at the first inversion for key B. Look at how it appeared. You can see this. So you see black, black, and white. So you just learn this individually. You see black, black, and white. And look at the second inversion for key B. You can see this black, white, white. So instead of thinking of the notes, just think about this shape and you are good to go. The next key under this group is actually called F sharp. So look at F sharp. F sharp is just simply all black notes. So look at the first inversion for F sharp. You can see the way it appears, all black keys, and these 2 are kind of closer to each other than this. Look at the second inversion. You can see the way it appears. So just learn this independently. Now the last key under this group is actually called that's B flat. So look at the first inversion for B flat. This as appears. So you can see this white, white, and black, which is kind of higher than these two whites. And look at the second inversion. So you can see this. So that's all about the grouping. So instead of learning, the idea is just don't cram the notes, okay? Don't cram the notes of the chord. Focus on the shape your hand take for when it's first inversion and when it's second inversion. And also you can learn in groups also. It's actually better. Instead of learning the inversion, the first and second inversion of all the 12 chords, okay, all the 12 major chords, just learn them in groups.